So this is like my garden, and as you can see, I have I think about four pipes. Each of
Wow.
the plants, like the pomegranate, has one pipe, and there is a guava, has a pipe. So very convenient and easy way. So the
Mm-hmm.
important thing is it's a 6-inch or 8-inch pipe, and it
Okay.
has these 5 mm holes that you can
Mm-hmm.
see, and it's on the fourth fixed 1 foot into the soil.
Okay.
Okay. Now, again, the procedure is the same. What I was mentioning earlier, we are going to add the kitchen waste into the
Okay.
pipe, and
Do you do
the
any
small,
layering here?
sorry,
Do you do
layering.
any
Yeah,
layering
yes, yes, we
here?
will
Okay.
do layering. The smaller the
Okay.
pieces, faster the composting is. It's important
Okay.
that if
Right.
you have any whole vegetables, cut into smaller pieces and then add it, then the composting will be faster. Now, we are going to add a little bit of cocoa peat,
Okay.
and then some amount of more of old compost, because it's your own compost. So you can actually, one of the best use of our own compost is use it
Compost.
again and again, reuse it. So, and then
Right.
we're going to add a little bit of soil. It's this, in
Okay.
this pipe composter, you can use soil also.
So,
Okay.
what is the
Um,
concept behind the pipe composter, sir?
so, the pipe, it will feed, when I water it, I am going to water it through the pipe. And the
Okay.
water will
Oh.
actually allow the nutrition to go into the soil, and it will feed the
Uh-huh.
tree that is next to it. And
And
it's
how
not too
far
close.
the tree? Okay. Yeah.
It's
So, how
about
far?
yeah, it's about 2 foot, 2 feet, 1 or 2 feet away from the root zone. That's what we do, and that's what has been done over here also. There is one more pipe here, and then another
Uh-huh.
pipe there as well.
Yeah.
So this is a very convenient way. So you need
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you are a family of 3 members, you need six
Mm-hmm.
pipes. Make sure that
Okay.
the pipes are not overloaded, and we are only adding enough per day, like about 300 grams or 500 grams, but use more old compost, cocoa peat. Dry leaves cannot be used much in this method. Okay,
Mm.
and then use soil, and leave it, forget it. It will actually feed your soil. When you are watering your garden, water it through the pipe, and then you can actually
Okay.
grow your vegetables and greens around the pipe.
Okay. So, you're not watering the rest of the soil here. You're only watering the pipes,
Yeah,
or
what? No, no, we
depending
do
on the
both.
distance.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
both, but you can actually, I don't harvest compost from the pipe. I don't have to
Yeah.
pull it
Okay.
out and then harvest, because it will slowly get into the soil, and the nutrition
Mm.
will go into the soil. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Wow, this is really a convenient way to just,
Yeah.
keep adding waste and then forget about it really.
Right. So you can see some plant growing through the hole, actually, of the pipe
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Right? So
Mm-hmm.
nature has, it's kind of really looks for organic matter anywhere and everywhere, and it will actually show the gratitude by growing there and then giving you bountiful of tomatoes and vegetables and greens. So the
Mm.
next concept is the lane composter. This is one of the
Okay.
community level thing at a street level. So here
Uh-huh.
is a large lane composter. It's about 3 feet in diameter, and
Mm-hmm.
about 5 feet height. That's the 5 feet is the height of it.
Mm-hmm.
It has two doors. It's a mesh,
Okay.
1 inch mesh, and again covered with perforated sheet so that it is rat and mouse proof. That's very
Okay.
important, so that we don't
Yeah.
increase the population of rat and mouse
Correct.
in the area. And in this concept, I have two of them. There is a smaller one here, and then there is a bigger one. And about 6 to 8 homes, they come and add their kitchen waste either into the smaller one or into the bigger one, depending on which one is convenient. There are a lot of children who come and add it to the smaller one.
Okay.
I feel.
So sweet.
So this is like adopt a street, adopt your lane, and add your kitchen waste. So these are very well aerated containers. The mesh composters are very well aerated containers. Sometimes you can add your kitchen waste and the dry leaves from the street. Then you add 1 or 2 mug of water, because it's
Okay.
so well aerated that you need to maintain moisture, so you add water also. So the
So who
typical
is
issues
managing this?
I do.
Who
So they all add the kitchen waste. End of the day, I cover it with some old compost. I don't use any microbial coco peat and all. Old compost and dry leaves, it will run.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like very efficient and economical also as well.
Yes.
So
So
the
did you
leaves that fall
yeah,
on the ground is actually swept and added into the same composter.
okay. And
As you
all the
can,
compost is made available for people on the street to take in whenever they want.
yes, they do. Actually, it is kept in those drums. As you can see
Okay.
here, there are several
Mm-hmm.
drums here. The compost is
Mm-hmm.
kept. Some of it is actually used for layering, covering it,
Okay.
and some of that also people do take it for their gardening
Okay.
purpose. So as you
So
can see, there is.
typically, how long does it take, say, if you had to look at the smaller one, how long would it take for the compost to get ready?
So the smaller one, 2 months. Larger the
Okay.
composter, it's longer. This is a 4 month thing
Okay.
actually. And also, I usually don't answer that question always directly. I will say it
Uh,
depends. It depends on the process. If you are following the process,
mm,
compost pile should not be neither too wet nor too dry.
mhm.
It should
Right.
be
So if you're
moist.
doing it properly, then
Yeah. So for more information, this is the SWMRT Solid Waste Management Roundtable is the organization which launched Swachhagraha, and swachhagraha.in is the website. People can go and visit this place to see what are the different compost bins available in the market. And also, that's my company, the Soil and Health Solution, and we make these
okay.
big mesh composters that you can see in Kaban Park and Lal Bagh and
Mm.
many places also. I'll go back inside the house and we can actually answer some of the questions. Just a second.
So I I had a few questions about I mean thank you for showing us so simply in such a simplistic way how composting can be made right at home. In terms of community composting, one is of course how do you manage to get your lane, your neighbors together to get together to do this? Was it a challenge, and what really showed them that they should be a part of this?
It's actually lead by example. We just keep doing what we do, and then
Mhm.
there are due time actually. I'll be harvesting the compost, and then I'll be spreading it and then segregating it, and people who are actually walking by will stop and
Yeah.
ask. what is that you are
Uh,
doing, right? And
uh,
also, I have vermicomposting. Vermicomposting is so exciting for children. And when
mm,
I'm actually sitting there at my garage on the street itself, and then separating the earthworms and the compost, they'll come and children will come, and then they will
yeah.
bring their parents, right?
Mm,
That's how we can actually influence people.
okay.
And the other thing is they do want compost for their tulsi plant. Typically, they ask,
Mm,
"Can you give me
yeah.
this much of compost for my one plant that I have?" Or they
Uh,
may have actually 10 plants and then they want compost, right? And
mm,
when they say, "I want compost," then you should be adding your kitchen waste into here.
right. Okay. So it's like a give and take.
Okay.
So nice. So you've given up your corporate job and you're doing this full time now?
Yes, yes. I do have a job, a small job but it's about 20% of my time, but 80% of the time I'm doing this. And
Okay.
Soil and Health also tries to teach the housekeeping team how to sustain the program, community composting program at different places, because it's not just about you start off and take a picture and then 6 months down the line it fizzles down. That
Mm,
shouldn't happen. So we should know how to sustain it year over year.
right. So some of these new age machines and all that they have for composting, right? What is your uh, opinion about them and what the kind of compost? Is it something that's actually beneficial for plants? So the ones where you can
So
get compost
the
in a
yeah,
day.
in one day, 24-hour
Right.
composting machines. There are many that are installed in different locations where we go also, and there are a lot of most of them are a failure. There is the machines actually they chop the kitchen waste, they pulverize it. That means they grind
Okay.
it like a dough, and then they
Uh,
heat it up to take away all the moisture that is in the kitchen waste. And what you
mm,
get out of it is burnt ash, what we call. And
mm,
if you put that burnt ash anywhere around the plant or a tree, it will either have stunted growth or it will
oh,
die, in the sense it will dry up. So that's
okay.
the thing. So 24-hour composting machines, humans are very fascinated about machines. It cannot
Mm,
happen. Composting is a thing which is it takes 1 month to 4 months, depending on the
right.
organic matter. And microorganisms can help accelerate that composting process, and it cannot
Right.
happen in 24 hours. The one
Okay. So,
important thing I want to mention though is the huge electricity bill that they get, because they have to maintain it at 110 degrees centigrade, and a monthly electricity bill is very huge. They have to look at what is the capital expenditure, what is the monthly cost which is towards
yeah.
the electricity bill, and then evaluate the whole thing, not get fascinated by machines. Yes, we do get lot of videos from Singapore is doing this, Israel is doing that, and Sweden is doing that, but it's not the compost is not usable at all.
So is in BBMP in any way trying to promote this machinery as well, or
The
because I know that
authority which has approval authority is Pollution Control Board, Karnataka Pollution Control Board, and they do claim that they have not authorized any 24-hour composting machines at all. So
okay.
that's their take on it as far as that.
So is it that the high heat also kills the microbes which are actually doing good?
Totally, totally. Actually, Savita Hiremat, a very well-known environmentalist, she has written 3 articles on her blog.
Right.
Do visit
Right.
savitahiremat.com, and
Good.
you will see 24-hour composting machines, very well written. And also there is an interview with Dr. Manoj, who is a very well-known composting guru from Kerala.
Mm-hmm.
and they very good articles. Those are.
So if apartments are looking for, composting within their campus as such, what is the way, how do you, how would you kind of come in and be able to guide them through that? What's the system you use?
Yeah, so first thing I usually ask them how many apartments are there, and
Mm-hmm.
then also I schedule a Zoom call or a Google Meet or anything. They should actually schedule a call with their management committee members, volunteers, and then ask me to, invite me, and then I will show a presentation. It's a 20 minutes presentation. Community
Yeah.
composting is not like home composting where you can buy a product from the shelf. Community
Yeah.
composting is actually a lot more parameters that it depends on. So during the Zoom call, I usually talk about what it takes to succeed in community
Right.
composting. Now, the first thing is segregation at source. If
Right.
if an apartment complex they don't have segregation at source working at 90%, there is no point in attempting composting. First, fix segregation. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. Now, the second thing is there should be a door-to-door collection from each
Mm-hmm.
home. There is a housekeeping team that collects, because if you keep community bins, single,
Mm-hmm.
large bin for wet waste, you will not get segregated waste. So, door-to-door collection is very important. And then the third thing is actually air circulation, because
Mm-hmm.
we have seen many builders who actually want to, keep the composter in a room which has no windows at all. You name
Mm-hmm.
it, whether it is DLF or Shobha or Brigade or any of the people, they
Yeah.
build this room. They also place it in the middle of the basement, so there is no circulation at all, air circulation at
Right.
all.
Right.
This is aerobic composting. It requires air, and there should be a breeze. So these are the points which I explained during my presentation, saying
So
that
it wouldn't have a roof, like even if it's just like kind of open on the top and just closed on all sides, is that enough
no, no,
or
cross
it will still
ventilation is
windows?
important. Cross ventilation
Okay.
is important. So
Okay.
we try to tell them to integrate composting in garden. They have landscape area. It's very good to integrate the two things together. If we always worry it so much that it is going to smell bad, it will fail. That's not actually a good start. The second part is for a community, composting should be pride of their community. Actually, you should be able to proudly say, "I am composting. I am taking care of my wet waste." So
Right.
when they invite me, they'll say, "Okay, I'm going to locate it somewhere in the behind, somewhere nobody goes, to the
Yeah.
front portion of the apartment where they can actually keep it." That's the
Mm.
talk that will help them actually.
Mm.
So there are a very lot of success stories in Bangalore. We have many apartments which are doing this, and people from different parts of the country come to Bangalore
Mm.
to understand how well waste management is happening in some of the apartments.
Yeah, that's great to know, and I hope a lot of people in apartments take on. I mean, I unfortunately live in an apartment that has this machine, the 24-hour composter, and it was installed a few years back before I even had knowledge about composting. But I mean, I haven't used any of that compost, so it's good to know. Thank you for letting me know. And I'm sure it cost a bomb. It was pretty expensive for that entire machine to get installed
Yeah,
and the
we
running
have
charge.
actually come across several communities and institutions, whether it is army or corporate companies, do have these machines that cost anywhere around 8 lakhs to 15 lakhs rupees. And also the capacity is not enough. Some of the builders will actually install them to get an occupancy certificate, and it never works after that kind of a thing. So
Right.
Yeah, the compost is not at all useful. No, not at all, cannot be used.
That's really sad. So there are a few questions from the audience. So if we can just answer them one by one, it'd be very useful. So there's one question on how to manage the flies that surround the composting bins. I think you probably answered this a million times, but uh, it is a
No,
problem. So.
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. See, for fruit flies or house flies, or even black soldier fly, we call
Mm.
them. It's important that you cover the kitchen waste completely with brown material so that kitchen waste is not visible. That's very important. Now there is also you can use jute sacks. Use them to cover the compost pile or old cotton cloth, and then keep the jute sack moist. That's another option. Now the
Right.
location is very important. If it is in sunlight, the
Mm-hmm.
compost bin, then partial sunlight helps to reduce fruit flies also.
Okay.
So those are the things we actually help and use enough brown material because that's where the ratio of greens and browns is a very important thing. When we use the right amount of brown material, fruit fly will not be an issue.
What about newspapers? Some people recommend using newspaper.
Uh, yeah, but they usually tell you to use only one page of newspaper for the entire bin. That's important because newspaper, the print ink has lead, and on a daily basis, people, if they want to use a liner with a two-page of newspaper, where will that newspaper go? It cannot be put in the compost bin because there is lead in the ink. So use one page, keep using it to cover.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing is to start in a small way. You had shown the bucket method, right? Is for people to start off, would you recommend, starting off with a bucket or a kamba is something that is easier to do? What's the first, for a beginner, what do you recommend?
Um, I think this is a typical question asked about mud pots and versus the plastic container. We don't promote plastic. These are actually multi-use plastic containers, and we are against single-use plastic. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. The advantage of mud pot is it breathes naturally, it is porous, and it works. But there are
Right.
people who found it actually heavy to lift when it is actually full, and particularly to shift from the top to middle and middle to bottom. Shifting process, they think they feel that it is heavy. Now there is also the
Okay.
cockroach and lizard may go in there, and when you are actually lifting, then probably one might
Yes.
that's an issue.
That jump.
Plastic containers are lighter actually.
Yeah.
Also, in our Swachhagraha, when it was launched 5 years ago, we came up with this 16-liter chutki that I was talking about. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
beginner's kit. If you are actually a
Okay.
beginner, start small with one kit.
Yes.
Start composting just puja flowers and some used coffee tea powder and some vegetable peels. Don't put cooked food initially itself. So start small, start experimenting by adding. Composting is experiential. Once
Yes.
you start doing it, then you learn many of the tricks.
And chutki is from Stone Soup, right? They
Yes,
they can get it on the Stone
so
Soup website.
with the yeah, Stone Soup website they have, and there is also Stone Soup Tay, which is a 20-liter paint bucket. Pretty
Okay.
good. Many a times, actually, you compost in that container, and you also grow. You sow your greens, then you can actually start growing in the same container as well. And We have a lot of DIY videos, do it yourself, on my YouTube channel as well as on Swachhagraha YouTube channel. If you have an old bucket or a drum, you can make 3 holes as we described around for air circulation and start using it.
Okay. We have a question from Pooja. After keeping compost from 3 to 4 months while harvesting, I have some lumps in it because of not chopping coconut husk.
Yes, there is a specific video we made. Not everything gets
Okay.
composted at the same time. Always pick out
Right.
whatever the larger chunks, toss it back again into your next compost bin, use the remaining.
Okay. So it just keeps going on.
Right.
Okay. Lovely. I had a question about, the liquid that comes out. Like, say, there is some amount of liquid that comes out of the plastic bucket with holes that you had. Could that be used directly into just poured into the garden?
Not directly. Obviously, it can actually have a pH value that is little more acidic. Always, dilute your the leachate, what we call,
Okay.
by 1:10, and then pour it to the plants. It's a good liquid for nutrient for plants. But if you don't want any issue of flies, maggots, and all, make sure that you follow 1:1 ratio of greens and browns. No liquid should come
Yes.
out.
There would be
Yeah.
no liquid. Another question I had is that a lot of people talk about live mulch, so they will use some, peels, fruit peels and all that, and put it directly on the soil. For me, that hasn't worked because, it takes its own time to degrade. But is that an accepted practice?
There are certain key elements. There is one video that goes around where they actually say that they grind all their kitchen waste in a mixie and then dilute it. That's the very important step. Dilute it
Mm.
and pour it to your plants. Absolutely okay if it is working well. Now, the
Mm.
second one that you mentioned, there are folks who actually spread their kitchen waste in the garden. It has not
Yeah.
worked for me because there are two big bandicoots that are around. And even let's
Right.
say we make cake and that butter paper is actually, I usually throw intentionally because I want to give them some food so that they don't attack my plants and it will
Right.
vanish. Yeah, so
Mm.
it depends on location where you are. If you don't have any rat and mouse issue, you can spread your kitchen waste around it. If it
Okay.
is working well, again you may be digging a small pit and that you put all your waste and then cover it with soil. No rat and mouse is coming there to dig it out. Continue.
Mm. Okay. There's another question about how to ensure that the compost is ready to be used. How do we know our compost is ready?
Right. So in a container, whether it is the mud pot or a 16-liter plastic bucket, when we add, fill it completely, after 4 to 6 weeks, the content would have reduced by about 40%. And when
Mm.
you take a rake or a stick and then mix it, it shouldn't smell bad.
Mm.
It should smell like soil. It should have an earthen smell. That means your compost is ready. But again, not everything would have composted. There could be some larger chunks. Pick it out,
Mm.
put it into your next bin, and then use the remaining.
Okay. There's another question where, in a villa, if I compost in monsoon, what steps do I need to take? I guess we talked about keeping our compost in a sheltered space, but doesn't this also, like for community composting, how do you manage when there is a lot of moisture in the...
We don't place the mesh composters in actually in shelter. Actually, it is open.
Mm.
Rainwater actually helps in breaking down the organic matter faster because you would have seen in monsoon any heap of leaf would compost faster when it is raining. So it passes through the compost, and then it will feed your own garden. It will feed your soil and feed the plants around it. So in
Okay.
a villa property, if you are located, you are blessed to have some space outside, and
Mhm.
you may have a garden. Integrate your composting in your garden like how we showed, whether it is a pipe composter or it's a mesh composter.
Yes.
Integrate it, place your compost bin, grow some insect repellent plants, whether it is actually lemongrass, basil, marigold. uh, Place it around your composter so that it looks beautiful, and then when your neighbor comes and asks, you can always tell her, that person that, this is what I am doing. I'm proudly composting my own kitchen.
That's amazing, sir. I guess through the years you found all your different tips and tricks to like rope in everybody into composting, and you're doing it in such a lovely, inspiring way, getting
Yes,
people to see what you're doing and getting them to be part of your
yeah.
composting
I mean, we,
experiences.
we don't try to actually, directly
Composting.
influence. I believe in the passive influence that it can create, because they should have interest, they should have commitment, that, my
Yes.
waste is my responsibility. Then they will actually come and ask. And the
Mm,
issues, the problems that you may face in composting, for every problem, there is a solution.
right.
And now we have videos, we have content on our website, and so many places they can refer to those and then continue composting.
Lovely, sir. On that note, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this valuable information today. I'm sure we have many inspired people who are going to start their own journey into composting. Sorry about the technical issues, but it's been super informative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and you are doing a great job. I know Urban Mali and all the information that's on the website and then Instagram also. You are inspiring. You are talking about different variety of plants. That whenever and wherever you go, you
Yes.
kind of find very inspiring. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much, sir. All of us are all working towards one goal, so
Yes,
that's the best part of it.
yes, yes.
Okay, thank
Thank
you
you for
so much.
inviting. Bye.